This is Comic Geek Speak, episode 1677, a Cornucopia of Comics Conversation 2017.
Laser beams, opinions like the seasons, like everything you read in comics, movies, games, toys, comics. Comic geek. Uniting the world's mightiest heroes. This is...
I'm Brian Chrisman.
I'm Adam Murdo.
And I'm Chris Eberly.
And welcome to the show.
Chris getting ever more creative with his opening credits music dance moves.
Take your word for it.
He's flashing his negabands at us through the...
Just out of creative desperation, my friend.
As our alliterative introduction... Is that good? Did that make sense what I said there?
Yes.
Okay.
It was an introduction, and it did alliterate.
Okay. This is our post-Thanksgiving comic talk all over the place. Meshuggah things. I don't know what I'm talking about here. Because I almost forgot that it's time of year for Cornucopia of Comic Conversation.
Right. As many different topics as there are foodstuffs in the horn of plenty. That is what awaits you now.
So first of all, how was everyone's Thanksgiving holiday?
Survivable.
I like that. Survivable, yes.
Mine was delightful. We had a wonderful Actually, we had two Thanksgivings. So Thursday was at my mother's house. And, of course, the food was masterful. And then on Saturday, Keiko hosted for some of her relatives at our house. And the food was equally masterful. So I supped well this weekend, my friends. I supped well indeed.
Yeah, my Thanksgiving consisted of working till 6 a.m., going home, taking a nap, getting up, getting a bite to eat, and going back to work at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So I worked about 15 hours on Thanksgiving.
Well. That's
overtime, time and a half. Oh, yeah.
That's got me beat by quite a bit, actually. We had our traditional 11 a.m. Thanksgiving banquet at at my cousin Tom's house, and all the Murdos in the area were there. And then the Christmas branch of the family peeled off after the meal was over, went to the Christmas barn, opened that at 1 o'clock, and worked until 9. So I was there for the measly 8 hours, which is only a little more than half of what you put in.
And I actually on Black Friday, actually worked 5 hours on Black Friday.
Well, there I have you beaten then, because I was there from 10 to 9.
Okay.
And then again on Saturday.
And Murd, how was business this weekend at the Murdo family Christmas barn?
Quite encouraging, Chris. Yeah, we were kept busy, hopping. The weather was very pleasant. It was actually warm enough we needed to turn on the air conditioners.
What?
Well, we have a lot of high-powered floodlights on there to display the mercmerchandise, plus all the miniature lights and a lot of incandescent bulbs, which adds to the ambient heat inside the building. So, plus the fact that the outside temperature was about 52 degrees or something like that.
52 degrees, you say?
I do say that. I can dial that down to 51 if it makes it less painful for those listening.
Hey, knock it off. It's all right.
Okay. Thank you for asking, Chris. It was a profitable holiday weekend, and our branch in Stone Harbor was also open, and they surpassed their performance last year by several $100 per day. So we're all very happy about that. We're all tired but happy.
Well, I'm hoping to make the trek out to the barn this season. I hope to.
I hope to see you and Ricky and June and maybe Bill and or Danny as well.
I'll keep you posted, brother.
All right.
Excellent. All right, well, a little bit of unpleasant business up front before we get too far along here. And, of course, many of you long-term listeners know that we lost our companion, Jamie D., back in 2014 to cancer. This past Friday, the 24th of November, his father passed away. Actually, he was James D'Alessandro Sr.
Mm-hmm. And his father was a James D'Alessandro as well.
Yeah, so, Jamie never took the junior part, but he technically was a junior. But he was 74, and he would had a couple of strokes over the last few months. So, but he was, of course, a history teacher. 32 years working for the Reading High School. It says here. I didn't know it was that long.
They called him Mr. D.
Mr. D. That's correct. And when you got to meet him, you could first of all clearly see a family resemblance between him and Jamie.
Unmistakable.
And also his sense of humor. He wasn't a slapstick kind of guy. He was probably the originator of the dad jokes come from him. That's where you get that term from Jamie's dad. Just so the way he would just tell the jokes, you'd be like, roll your eyes, go, oh my God. So yeah, unfortunately, he passed away at 74. But
Yep. I saw Jamie's sister Shauna and her family at the Christmas barn on Thanksgiving morning.
Oh yeah,
it's become their tradition.
Oh right,
since dating back to before Jamie passed on. Jamie used to come out with them, and they made it out there. And her dad had just had his most recent stroke, and apparently on Thanksgiving morning they couldn't wake him. Mm-hmm. And she told me that this was following about the same pattern as had happened with Jamie and also with their mother some years before. Mm-hmm. So we exchanged an embrace and a few kind words as best we could. And I told her I hoped that the pattern would break, but by the next morning it became clear that it wouldn't because Mr. D was gone.
Yes.
But yes, all thoughts and prayers are with the Kelly family, Shauna and her husband and 3 kids, one of whom is also named James.
Yep, James Kelly.
And he was a hell of a guy in general, by the way.
Oh, my God,
Mr.
yes.
D'Alessandro.
Sad to see him pass. So James D'Alessandro Sr. passing at the age of 74. I actually didn't. Like I said, I was by myself on Thanksgiving just because how it worked out with everything. But I found out, I knew this a while ago, my brother and his wife were planning a surprise trip for my nephew, their son Alexander, to go down, Thanksgiving break down to NASA down in Florida. Because this is a surprise because he's, big into all kinds of things kids are into, like NASA spaceships and whatnot. And I've known about it for quite a while. And I think I mentioned before on the show that my nephew's being trained right because he's been immersed in like the Looney Tunes classic cartoons. And one of his favorites is Falling Hair. One with the gremlin.
Oh, right.
Or, at Abe Vendelvilke.
Yeah, that was Jamie used to quote that one fairly
yeah.
often.
At the end of the cartoon, the plane's going down and Bugs Bunny's in it, and he's going, yee-ha-oh, yee-ha-oh. It's just getting ready to crash, and runs out of gas and everything there.
You know how it is with these ACOs.
That's right. So I got a text from my sister-in-law when they got down there, and it just warmed the cockles of my heart. She goes, I thought you would like to know that as the plane started the descent on Tuesday, Alexander started saying quietly, E-ah-oh, from the Bugs Bunny cartoon. So that's my boy. That's my boy. So,
at least he said it quiet.
Yes, quietly. And I do have a couple of Looney Tunes comics that are trade for him for Christmas, so I'll get him trying to get him the comics subtly.
Backdoor it in there whatever way you can. Remember, the first comics I owned, were like the Whitman, Bugs Bunny, and Disney comics. So there's hope for him yet.
Absolutely. All right, well, this is going to be our all-over crazy-to-place kind of episode. Chris, you have anything you want to talk about to start us off with?
Sure. I wanted to shout out for the 2 most recent Tomorrow's Magazine publications, because I think they are especially stellar this month. If I may, Pantaloons.
You certainly may.
Honored. First of all, Alter Ego issue 149, special issue, The Mark of Gil Kane. Now, one of our glorious co-founders, Peter Rios, is a huge Gil Kane fan, and I am as well. I have been since I first saw his work in Amazing Spider-Man from my precious Bronze Age comics from the 70s. And this magazine is lovingly done in terms of being a tribute to Kane. You've got an interview with him from the 1980s. It's quite lengthy about his whole career up to that point. You've got an extensive essay on his whole life, essentially, and his career. I mean, Roy Thomas worked extensively with Kane, and they were very good friends, so he comments on that relationship as well. This is a perfect example of why Alter Ego is such an essential magazine for anyone who's a student of comic book history. And again, someone like Gil Kane is one of the reasons why we have the Marvel Cinematic Universe, why we have, the DC. Do they have an official name for the DC movie universe or no?
I think they call it the DCEU, Extended Universe.
Okay. Why we have the DCEU, it's because of an artist like Gil Kane. The variety of characters he worked on, Green Lantern, the Atom, who we both, revisited and reintroduced in the Silver Age. his work on Amazing Spider-Man, Captain Marvel. That's just a couple. There's so many more. Always one of my favorite artists, an artist who, when you read about him, clearly was a scholar, man, was well versed in the history of the medium he was working in. There's an essay in here that he wrote on comic art that he wrote in 1974, which addresses comic art from Winsor McCay to Jack Kirby. This is a man who was clearly, not only was he a great artist, but he was a great student of the medium he was dedicated his life to. So I can't emphasize enough how great this issue is. And they also have a great they also look at the life of John Broome in here as well. So Alter Ego 149, highly recommend that. Gil Kane is one of the great masters of the medium. I'm glad to see this magazine celebrating him so extensively. And Murray will especially appreciate this.
Oh, really?
Back issue number 101, Rock and Roll Comics issue. So now, again, Shane, I hope Shane knows this. I think he gets back issue. They do an exclusive interview with Sam Jones of Flash Gordon fame. So he talks about his whole experience on the film, which is really fun to read. And then Murd, again, this issue screams you. Okay, we've got a vintage Mark Bullen interview of Stan Lee. They do go to the history of Paul McCartney's relationship with Marvel, including the legendary sketch he received from Jack Kirby when he was fronting Wings.
Magneto, Titanium Man.
Correct. They go into the history of that song. They talk, about the Partridge Family. The late David Cassidy just passed away. They go into about the Kiss comic. And Murd, this is where I especially thought of you. Page 56. That's why I love these magazines. Bring on the bad guys, the Hypno Hustler. So you just get a little retrospective on that beloved baddie of yours.
Little Spider-Man Night Fever for you.
Indeed. They go into Alice Cooper's relationship with Marvel. Marvel premiere number 50. They talk about Lila Cheney of the Marvel mutant musician from X-Men. Pro discussion by Larry Hammett, Elaine Lee, and Steve Lealola on Steel Town Rockers, that miniseries from the 80s. I mean, this is a fantastic issue.
Is there anything in there about that Marvel special issue about the Beatles with art by George Perez?
What?
I don't see. What is that from? I don't know.
What the hell are you talking about?
Now I can't remember.
Chestnut.
It was. This is from. I'm pretty sure it was from the 70s. I think it was one of the oversized magazines, perhaps. But
a Treasury edition.
Marvel, one of those contrived titles that there's beginning with Marvel, created pretty much ad hoc for the purpose of this project. It continued on for a couple of issues afterwards. But yeah, there was definitely a Beatles project with art by Perez that came out.
Do you know what it was called?
That's what I'm trying to remember. Wow. It was Marvel Super Special #1 or something along those lines. But apparently this is something you haven't heard of, Brian.
Well, clearly.
I've never heard of it either.
Perez and the Beatles? My goodness. Two great taste great together.
All right, well, let's all go to the internet then.
There's also an article in here in the flashback section, Saturday morning supergroups. So this is an especially fun issue of back issue. Oh, when you open this, if you look at the spread on page 24, I see the Fat Albert Gang, I see the Archie, I see Monsters. Murd. You got to get this issue, my friend. They got the Banana Splits in here.
Oh, tra-la-la, Yep. Marvel Comics Super Special #4. Wow, all right.
And it's the Beatles?
Yeah.
Wow.
You see, you learn something new every day.
Yeah, I'm kind of astonished.
Teach, Murd. Teach.
I'm astonished that I was able to teach this to our friend Mr. Christman over here.
Wow, that's impressive. So anyway, I highly recommend both these publications. I know I go on ad infinitum or ad nauseum depending on your taste about tomorrow's, but these two publications are just perfect examples of what they do is so essential and so invaluable for this medium we all love. Because they bring spotlights on so many creators that deserve as much attention as possible, and all the fun chestnuts they dig out. Where the comic book medium found itself in our popular culture, throughout these decades. So, look at this, a David Cassidy comic from Charlton. a Partridge Family comic from Charlton.
Mm-hmm. I've seen a couple issues of that.
Yep, this is great stuff here. Murd, you should definitely get this issue.
I agree.
Yep.
I just dug up something else while we're looking up that Marvel Comics Super Special thing with Perez. Marvel also did an adaptation of that Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band live-action movie from 1979.
Oh, the beat. No, I knew he did work on that.
All right.
But I did know about this. And actually, this Marvel Comic Super Special number 4, inked by Klaus Janson.
Over Perez.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. So holy. Now, it's a magazine. That might be why I don't remember ever seeing it, because sometimes those magazines are a little hard to find in the back issue bins, because it's more like comics thing. But now I have something else to look for, or to the interwebs, to eBay or whatever if you have to. You know what? Let me just see what the old eBay's got going on for that, if at all, while you guys are there, chat amongst yourselves. Sure.
I also wanted to comment, Murd, and through you to Peter, the latest Crisis tapes. Oh, Murd. Just a bravura performance. It was a symphony. I so thoroughly enjoyed it. Every time I hear one of these, I want to crack open Crisis and read it again. I mean, this is one. I think what you guys are doing with that, that sort of offshoot show, is so vital and alive, and I so along for the ride to see how far you're going to take this, because this could go on conceivably for years, essentially.
Yeah, it's nice.
And
do a pretty good job of squeezing content out of a finite series.
Yes, and because you're only halfway through issue 4.
Right. Well, we have the second half done and in the can, too. We'll just be releasing it within the next week or two. So,
and Murd, that just put steam in my strides right there, brother. if I wasn't tethered to this computer, I'd do a heel click right now.
That might just be the eggnog talking.
For those who are out there, even if you don't know a lot about Crisis, don't let that dissuade you from listening to these episodes, because it's the Murd and it's the Rios. All right, together, and you guys are a fantastic team. The way you play off each other, and the episode you did some years back on explaining all the different Earths is essential listening to anyone who wants to learn about that aspect of the DC universe. So, please, if you haven't given the Crisis tapes a shot, excuse me, I urge people to listen to it, because even if you don't know nothing about Crisis, you're going to enjoy them. If you love comics, you love superheroes, you love to hear two essentially scholars discussing the subject, it's a treat. And they're wonderfully long. And I don't mean that as a negative. Perfect. Bravo, my friend. Bravo.
Exhaustive and exhausting in their length, actually. I think we were in the studio for like 6 hours just getting through Crisis number 4 a couple of weeks ago.
Fantastic.
Chris, you humble me with your praise. And
well, it's well-deserved, my friend.
I thank you very much for it, Chris.
So I found a very good, fine 5.0 copy on eBay with a buy it now and free shipping of $30. So, and that's the cheapest that I saw for anything. So that might be a pants present. So by the time you hear this episode, it'll be gone. I'll probably already bought it.
Well, let's pause for a minute. A pants present.
Uh-huh.
Once again, the glory of the third person, as only pants can express it, and with an alliteration, no less. I just got chills.
It could be the perfect pants present. I didn't want to go too far with that. But,
I love this guy, ladies and gentlemen. I just love him.
Gosh. Well, speaking of Marvel Comics, if I can try a segue here for a moment.
Anytime, any day.
What do we think about Marvel naming a new editor-in-chief, C.B. Sobolski, replacing Axel Alonso?
Seems like a good enough man for the job, what little I know about him.
Well, I mean, we actually interviewed a C.B. Sobolski back at episode 110 in February of 2006.
Yikes. I wasn't even out of grad school yet at that point. I was not a full-time member of the cast.
Yeah.
Wonder what about? Was it?
Nor was I. Well, it says here, from the foreign shores of Japan to the Marvel headquarters in New York City, C.B. Sobolski has done it all. We spoke with the writer, editor, talent handler who knows his manga. Listen in and broaden your horizons.
I thought it might be something like that, because, just word association. Whenever I hear C.B. Sobolski, the first thing I think of, perhaps to his chagrin, is Marvel Mangaverse. Remember those? They did those back in the early 2000s.
I do, yep.
Yeah, so he was that was his baby.
He was very big on that. He's actually in Shanghai for the last couple of years as being like the talent search for that part of the world over there. And now, I guess he's coming back to the U.S. if he's going to be in Marvel's editor-in-chief, so it has to be close to New York offices, I would think.
And Matt Pants, what's like the party line explanation they've given for this change? Did they give any background on that? Or
That's a great question. I don't really know the answer. Axel Alonso's been there, I guess, since 2011. I just really don't know. I'm reading the New York Times article here. Of course, it says here that in 2011, CB became the Vice President of International Brand Management for Marvel. And, of course, now in his new role, he will be responsible for the editorial and creative side of Marvel's publishing division. His duties will include recruiting new talent and helping shape the ongoing sagas of the company's heroes. And from everything I know about C.B. Sapolsky, he's one of those guys, he's almost universally loved. He really is. People just treasure him. And from my very few interactions with him, whether on the podcast, listening to him, or meeting him in person once or twice with the geeks, just a really great guy. Right. So I think I look at it as a positive move.
I like to hear when someone who is universally loved in the profession gets the kind of position. That's always nice to hear, because some of the people in those positions turn out to be complete pricks. So, as people often are in administrative positions. So that's nice to hear. I don't know much about him or his work. I mean, I know his name and just some general stuff. But if he's a nice guy, I'm always happy to when a nice guy gets in a position where he hopefully can continue to be nice with the people who work under him. So sounds like that's good to know.
He's going to be a well-liked leader, at least. Whether or not he turns out to be an effective corporate leader remains to be seen.
Sure. But reading the rest of the article from New York Times, it says, one of Mr. Sapolsky's, and I love how the New York Times always calls everybody, Mr. I like that. That's one of the few bastions of politeness you find in the journalistic landscape. One of Mr. Sapolsky's biggest successes at Marvel was publishing Runaways by the writer Brian K. Vaughan and the artist Adrian Alphona. And, of course, it says the critically acclaimed series about teenagers who find out their parents are villains is the basis of a Hulu show that will have its premiere Tuesday, which has already happened in the U.S. So it's on the Hulu. So does anybody get the Hulu?
Not yet, but I just had dinner with Danielle and Bill last week, and they said it was fantastic, that it's very faithful to the spirit of the comic. So I got to get Hulu now so I can watch it, because I trust their judgment, and they praised it.
Yeah, because I resisted for the longest time getting Netflix, but when they had the Marvel, Daredevil, okay, I signed up for Netflix, and I've stayed with Netflix since then with their other Marvel shows. And I haven't watched The Punisher yet, but I'm going to watch The Punisher soon. But now with Hulu, it's like, okay, I heard a lot of good things about The Handmaid's Tale, and they just had another show come on called There's Johnny, all about it behind the scenes at The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson when he moved to California.
Oh, pants, just for you.
With Tony Danza and playing Fred DeCordova, which I think is a riot. And they actually are working with the Carson production. There'll be actual clips of the shows thrown in to give it its realism. It's like, okay, you've got that, and now you're throwing in the Runaways? Okay, now I might have to get the Hulu. Because, I know everyone out there who's under, 30 is saying, well, my God, that's like everybody does that. Well, I'm almost 50, so I'm a little behind the times. So.
Yeah. And I'm even further behind them than you are, despite being about 10 years younger. So, but yeah, I don't have any of the streaming services, and I've actually never read Runaways. But
really?
Nope, never did. But
Runaways is a great book, Merton.
Yeah, just the best I can do here is pass along some hearsay about it, because of what I've seen on Facebook, people have been saying that they've changed a number of things about the characters and the premise, but they're echoing what Danny and Bill essentially said when they say that the spirit remains intact. It remains remarkably faithful in its feel and intent to what the original series was. Those things that remain true to the original are very true.
Mm-hmm. Because I read the first, there's I think 3 volumes. I mean, there's even a new number 1 on the shelves right now for Runaways. But I read the first volume. I think I have some of the others in collected hardcovers. And, of course, they include art and work by Terry Moore and Mike Norton in some of those stories. So it's like, okay. It's like this happens all the time. There's so many things I want to read, and it's like, watch TV. Well, have to work and sleep, so that sort of cuts into my time there.
Right, and your time is spare at this time of year. I know how you feel.
Well, what I've been doing overnight, I did mention a little while ago that I found my volumes of the Monster manga from Viz. And actually, I misspoke earlier. I said there was 20 volumes, and I only found the first 18. There actually are only 18 volumes of the original Viz. They actually republished it a few years ago where they put 2 in 1 and made it 9 volumes, but that's not why you called. But anyway, so, we had talked about the Monster manga way back in the days with CGS because we had them on a couple of Book of the Month clubs, the first 2 volumes. We did a follow-up with volumes 3 and 4. And I remember at the time I really did enjoy them, and I did pick them up. And I finally finished it, and holy cow, that is a magnificent storyline, and I know I'm behind the times in this. I mean, this thing came out a long time ago. This is, of course, Monster by, hope I got this correct, Naoki Urasawa. Came out originally, in the magazine format that they have in Japan. But I got to read it all in these big clumps, which would have driven me nuts because it's so suspenseful, and there's like so many cliffhangers. It's like I read it, overnight at work. I'd read maybe like 1 volume a night is what I ended up. I just plowed through the damn thing. And it's just amazing. And some of the, here's one of the quotes on the front of one of the books from Viz. This is from the Anime News Network. It says here, and I quote, "Urasawa's artistic craft is performed to something approaching an invisible perfection." That's an amazing quote, and it's so accurate. This work looks like it's effortless. Reading it, the art, it's not too crazy detailed. It's sometimes minimalist, but it's beautiful. It tells a tale. The characters are distinct, and it seems effortless. It really just one of these works where it's like, because I kept plowing through this thing. It was just wonderful, and it takes so many twists and turns as elements of the fugitive in it there with a doctor who's falsely accused and he's being pursued by this guy, and there's all kinds of like morality in there. There's twists and turns that had me going, gee, many gods, and it's just so suspenseful. I can't recommend this highly enough, and now I got to try and find. I think he wrote something else called the 20th Century Boys. I think I've heard a little bit about that. Same creator. I want to check that out now. Again, where's it going to fit in my pile of things to read? But good comics should just go right up to the top when you hear good things about them. 20th Century Boys. Do you go any further, Murd, than the first volumes we had for the show?
I did not.
Okay, Chris, have you ever read any? Have you read any manga at all? Actually, come to think of it.
Not much. I know of Monster's reputation because you're not the first person I've heard praise that.
Okay.
Praise it. So it's something I would very much like to read. I haven't read much manga in my reading life, which is definitely a hole in my reading experience. I mean, when I've traveled to Japan 3 times.
Wow.
And I can assure you that their appreciation for the medium that is the comic book is far more extensive there than it is here, and it is far more, shall we say, sort of culture. It's saturated culturally.
Yeah, the things that I've heard is that you can find them in like vending machines, the manga,
they're everywhere. I mean, they're if you go on public transportation, you see people of all ages reading them. People just dressed in quote mundane clothes, for example. I went to some manga stores which were just vast. I just think they do it right because they publish like what we often call the phone book size type editions, and like you said, Pants, they come out every. I don't know if they do it monthly or quarterly or how they do it, but one of the manga stores I went to, I was going to say it was in Osaka, maybe some years ago, but I mean every conceivable subject matter, genre is represented, and it was thrilling to be in a society where, yes, the comic book was created, in the United States, what we consider the modern comic book, but the Japanese, like they always do with their culture, have adapted and very much made it their own, as they've done with so many things. and it was thrilling to see that. I mean, I'd go into people's homes. There were manga on the table, right? So where before I was, lamenting what I see as the almost certain extinction of at least the floppy format comic. Not in Japan, because they don't do floppy format. They do, what I think they should probably do here, which is they collect these stories into these larger volumes, and they release them. Every so often, and then you're sucked into that story and you follow it through, and then that's done. Then you move on to something else because there's something for everybody to read in that comic book culture, or that manga culture, I should say, in Japan. So, yeah, I mean, manga is something I really – it's not that it's intimidating, but it's so vast. I have to maybe I'll start with manga because you're multiple people now have told me how wonderful it is. I know Ryan loved it as well. So, yeah, I mean, I have a Japanese wife, and I've been to Japan multiple times, and I can assure you it's all true when it comes to their cultural romance with manga. So it puts us to shame.
Yeah. Yes.
By many, 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 many miles.
No misconceptions about comics being a children's entertainment medium over there.
Right.
Not at all. Not at all.
And I was going through Mr. Urasawa's bio here on the Wikipedia. There was a mention here that he created a short manga about 1960s British rock band The Beatles, time traveling to 2016. Man, released in June 2016 on Tokyo's radio station website. So I got to track that down. Again, talk about the Beatles and artistic interpretations. Wow, fantastic! And again, I can go down a rabbit hole with manga. I have read Lone Wolf and Cub. I think Crying Freeman. We also read a little bit of that for the show. And there was one. Oh gosh, there was an infamous manga we read. Let me see if I can try and track it down. Something banana something or the other.
Banana fish.
That might have been it. Where it was like we sort of like, whoa, what's this all about? I don't remember the specifics of it. I know it was very.
It wasn't to our taste.
It wasn't to our taste. And, that's obviously not everything's going to be everyone's taste. But
there's another one called like the Kurosagi Corpse Delivery Service or something like that. It was being published through Dark Horse.
Read a few of those. I've read Akira.
Yeah, I actually haven't read that one, but I have it, and it's on my pile of things to read eventually. So,
I mean, there's just so many things out there. We can go endless and endless things we have.
Yeah, I mean, with manga, having had the store for so long, you hear about, like I know Crying Freeman. That's a famous classic manga. Obviously you mentioned what was the one you said before that? I'm sorry.
Akira.
Before Crying. Akira, obviously. I mean, these are all the seminal works that I haven't read any of these really. I mean, like or My Son Ikoku. I've heard all these different books. Had a lot of them in the shop over the years, but it definitely deserves certainly my attention.
I think I mentioned Lone Wolf and Cub was the other one, Chris.
Lone Wolf and Cub is the other. Yeah, the other that I've heard nothing but good things about. And I've leafed through a lot of these books, and I'm always impressed by the artwork and just the narrative structure and so forth. So.
Yeah. Lone Wolf and Cub influenced Frank Miller, didn't it?
Yeah, very, very much. And the reading from the back to the front is not a problem at all. If anybody tells you that's
oh no, not at all.
No, that's super simple to do that. Oh my gosh, so good stuff. Yeah.
Speaking of great comics, if
Certainly.
I may transition,
absolutely,
back to our native shores here. Mr. Miracle, Tom King, what he did for the Vision, he's now doing for that classic Kirby character. Are you guys current?
Issue 4 just came out. I have up to issue 3, and I've read up to issue 2.
Okay.
I
won't spoil then, Pansy, but issue 4 for me was the best issue of the series yet. And just like with the Vision, he's taking a character that's been around quite a long time that certainly has a pretty prestigious history on his own. But he's often been kind of like a second-tier character. And what he's doing with that character, how he's sort of digging into the innards of that character and his psyche and his history. And he's just, again, like with the Vision, he's realizing new narrative possibilities for Mr. Miracle and his world. And the ongoing battle between Apocalypse and what's the other planet called? I always forget.
New Genesis.
Right? Yeah. And the relationship with Big Barda, and also his relationship with Orion. It's again, there's a handful of writers who are just at an elite tier for me. He's Tom. I know he doesn't listen to us anymore, but he is. Mr. King is way at the top there. Again, I think DC probably said, "All right, we're going to give him like this second-tier character, like Marvel gave him the Vision, and see what he's going to do with it." And boy, is he not disappointing. So, if you haven't read the first few issues, try to track him down, faithful listeners, if you can find them. It's going to be another classic. I mean, thus far, that's my feeling on it. Who's the artist in that, Pants? Because the art is wonderful too. I forgot the name of the artist.
Gerads, Gerads, because he did the work on Sheriff of Babylon with Tom King as well.
Well, there you go. So, and what he's doing is just like with the Vision. He totally, and again, this is the mark of a skilled writer. He doesn't chuck any of Mr. Miracle's history. It's all there. Just like with the Vision, it was all there. But he's just finding something innovative and new when it comes to addressing this character's sort of arc and his story. It's thrilling. I mean, there are a few comics now that actually thrill me to read. This one does. So, highest praise for Tom King's Mr. Miracle series.
Yeah, and I can.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Well, there's something else going on with these first issues that I read that I just put in the back of my mind. I think something else is going on that I'm wondering to see if it pays off there. I don't want to just say anything on the air for being completely wrong, but yeah, and he's using a lot of the 9-panel grid, which he always likes to go back to. But yeah, it's fascinating stuff, and there's something else I think going on there that I'm going to try to. Because usually I don't catch on to things, but it's like, let me see if I hang on to this. We'll visit that later. I'm sure I'm completely wrong and off base about that.
not necessarily, Pansy. Not necessarily. I think I might know where you're going with that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's and one other comment I wanted to make, and in no way I'm going to spoil because you guys have not read Doomsday Clock yet, right?
I have not read Doomsday Clock. No.
Nor have I.
Okay, so I went out.
Looking forward to it very much.
Yeah, I went out to the local shop and I said, all right, I'll grab a copy in case we do discuss it, this evening. Unfortunately, all they had left were the overpriced $6
lenticular covers.
I can't believe they're still making these freaking covers in 2017. If I didn't want it for the show, I wouldn't have purchased it. But all I'll say I'll just say two things. One, the art, and this is no surprise, is phenomenal. It's absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah.
And he captures the feel of Watchmen, I think, when you're reading it visually. Otherwise, all I'm going to say is I'm looking forward to us discussing this book. I'm looking forward to your reaction to the narrative in the first few pages, and just what you guys think. And that's all I'm going to say because it's 12 issues, right, Pants? Isn't it a 12-issue miniseries?
That's my understanding. Yes.
Okay, so. I'm interested. I look forward to our discussion on it, gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm trying to tread lightly because I know a few things, and it's like I don't want to necessarily spoil that until we do a show where we say at the very beginning, yes, spoilers, everything's open for discussion. And hopefully we can do some of that pretty soon because...
yeah, Shane and I are both waiting on our copies to come through DCBS.
As am I, because we discussed it. It actually shipped last Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm. I saw many copies on the shelf at Golden Eagle, but resisted the temptation to... graze.
I like it. Resisted the temptation.
Suddenly, Murd renders himself as a bovine, blissfully in a field. Terrific. It doesn't matter how bad the day might be. Hearing Murd moo, everything is just peachy keen, ladies and gentlemen.
It's the least I can do for you, Chris. And this is the least Brian can do to me.
Time once again for Mud on the Bird. Mud on the Bird.
Like rock and roll harp.
Yes.
Mud on the Bird.
Very intense air harp there. I needed to thrash a little, work out the holiday weekend's frustrations.
So, up for grabs in this, once again, we have two pieces of art from our anonymous art donor. We have a Tim Sale Superman sketch done on Hero Initiative stock.
Which is very cool.
As well as 2 pages from Emmy Town, done by Emmy Lennox, pages 241 and 242, featuring December of 2009. Nice front and back. Those could be yours. John Britton, if you muddle the murder. John's actually been in the queue for a while. I think I may have overlooked him with things, so we'll get to jump right into it. Here we go. And this is a special Adam Murdo edition, it says here.
Oh.
Question 1, Marvel, 1970 to 2000. What is the first half of the villain name shared by the inventor who gave Black Goliath cancer and his brother who faced off against the Thing and Spider-Woman in Marvel 2-in-1 85?
Yikes.
The first half.
What is the first half of the villain name? You can give the whole name and we'll just cut off the first part.
Well, I would if I knew what the name of this villain was. But, yeah, I'm afraid
What is the first half of the villain name? Okay, you gave me the hand, so shut up, pants.
No, it's... I appreciate your repeating it.
But I thought that was a shut up pants single that I think I was getting there.
Yeah, I'm not sure hearing it a second time is going to do me any good, unfortunately. Yep, I'll have to say black. That's the only guess I have.
No, it was the Atom Smasher. So, of course, the first we're looking for is Atom.
All right, I think I see where he's going with this.
1970 DC. In Superman Volume 1, number 139 from August of 1960, Superman says goodbye to one LL to join another and start his new life as Super Blank Man.
All right.
Like the old match game. What fill in the blank?
All right, let me hear this one again.
In Superman number 139, Superman says goodbye to one LL to join another and start his new life as Super Blank Man. We're looking for that blank there.
Okay, and given the theme, if that theme weren't there, I would say one thing. But since the
well,
theme
maybe I
is,
shouldn't give it away, but
Super Atom Man?
No, I'm sorry. The LL he joins with, Lori Lamaris,
Okay.
to become Super Merman.
Merman, okay. I was thinking...
Oh, God, I can picture that cover, too. Wow.
I was thinking like Lila Lerol. I thought maybe he'd gone back to Krypton or something.
It's okay. Final question. Post-2000 Independence. On the cover, I'm sorry, I can't stop laughing, of Bongo's Simpsons number 81, as part of a life-swapping reality show, what does Ned Flanders exclaim to Homer?
Heavens to Murgatroyd.
Oh my God, you're completely off base here! Go!
Oh, okay. So, Atom, Mur, and Doe.
There you go! Atom Murdo!
Okay, I didn't see what he was doing there at all.
Wow. Oh. Pants is losing it, ladies and gentlemen. He's starting to convulse. He's buckling over in the chair, clutching his chest.
Well,
Pants,
I wanted to cover the mic so I didn't laugh so loud into the microphone there. I'm sorry. I just saw it. I saw it coming, and I almost gave it away with the Adam Murdo edition. Oh, God. I enjoyed that more than I should have.
I did not see the pattern at all until the very end.
So, Britton Payne, well, actually, it says Britton Payne just jumped. I don't know. This person has muddled the bird. I will forward this to Mr. Adam Murdo.
Yes, we've met this man before. We've met him a couple of times at the New York Con.
Okay.
Now that you're telling me that John Britton and Britton Payne are one and the same. He's a musician.
Ah.
So, rock on, John Britton Payne. That's a clever theme, and I kick myself repeatedly. I'll be flagellating myself for hours for not having realized what was going on. So, well done, well done.
Goodness gracious me, that was a hoot and a half.
I think you will enjoy your prizes, John.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful prizes. That was very clever, though. Very clever.
Oh, my God. Oh, now, as we record this, in less than an hour, is the start of the 4-part Crisis on Earth X series from the CW's superhero show. Supergirl, Arrow, Flash, and Legends of Tomorrow. So I don't know much about what's going on in that, other than that gorgeous Phil Jimenez piece he did way back when with all the homage to the Justice League covers of the past. But in the most recent episode of Supergirl, there were some reveals. There was a reveal of who the villain is, and there was a reveal of another character from DC Comics coming in.
So this is that episode of Supergirl is kind of a lead-in to this Crisis on an Earth X crossover.
Not so much. I don't think it has so much to do with that, as much as it has to do with the reason that I don't seek out spoilers or casting information. After the episode aired, I did some Googling, and many months ago in like Variety and other publications, they listed the name of the character that was being revealed as the villain, as well as the actress, and as well as the other character and actor playing the other character, who they, in the episode as it's progressing, and I know I'm being extremely vague, so please forgive me, because I don't want to spoil Murd here.
I more than forgive you. I thank you. I'm a couple of episodes behind on Supergirl.
That there's a character that appears. They mention the character's first name and where this character's from, and I start thinking, wait a minute. And then when it's revealed, I go, wow! This is a whole Pandora's box of kind of things. But if I would have read these things months ago, I wouldn't be having right now. Actually, when I watch it, when I'm going, my jaw's dropping, like, oh my God. Didn't see it coming. So that's why people mock me and think, I don't want to know these things. I don't want to know trailers. I don't want to know casting. I want to know, okay, here's a movie. I'm just going to go see it and just enjoy it, because that is so rare. I always go back to, I think it was Flash number 72 from like the early 90s with Mark Waid, where it's at the end of a storyline with Dr. Element and Dr. Alchemy, I guess at the time. And there's an epilogue where you see Barry Allen and Jay Garrick and Linda Park and I forget Jay Garrick's wife's name. Joan Garrick. We're around the Christmas tree, and they say, "Oh, happy holidays!" And then the doorbell rings, and they go, "I wonder if it's the man in the red suit." And they open the door, and there's a huge reveal that runs into my favorite storyline of all time. If you know anything about that era of Flash comics in the early 90s, and it was a tremendous surprise. And those are the kind of things I look forward to in comics and my entertainment. So I know people like Matt, and Matt's the complete opposite, our co-host Matt. He just goes on Wikipedia and reads things before he goes sees a movie. Why would you do that? I don't understand that.
He hates surprises.
I guess.
He likes to feel in control of every situation, even if the situation is just consumption of fictional entertainment.
I guess. And there's all kinds of discussions on casting. Like just last week they had on Twitter the possibility of someone replacing Ben Affleck as Batman. It's like, I don't want to know that kind of stuff. I mean, obviously you would know at some point when you go to the movie, you're going to know who's playing Batman, whatever. But just things like that make me nuts. So the last episode of Supergirl, really, really enjoyed it, and looking forward to this Crisis on Earth X with all the things that are going on.
There will be Nazis.
No! Don't spoil it for me. I know Earth X, I guess.
You must by now know that. That's all I can spoil. That's all I know about it.
Pants, don't feel too bad, because I'm so woefully behind all these shows, I've almost given up on all of them now, because I'm still somewhere stuck in Season 2 of Flash, Season 2 of Supergirl. It's difficult to find time these days to watch everything.
I understand. Again, these are first world problems,
Yeah.
Oh my God!
But I did watch the first, without spoiling. I did watch the first 2 episodes of The Punisher. Excellent. Again? He is such a great casting choice for this character.
And the actor's name again is, I forget his name.
John Bernthal.
That's right.
So, from what I've seen so far, I don't think I'm going to be disappointed at all. So
now,
and I'll say that it is exploring, in further detail, just the origins of the Punisher, this version of the Punisher. So,
how many episodes is it? Is it 13?
I think it's 13. I haven't checked. to be
Okay,
honest with you.
I know that's released. I hear good things about it, but I don't know how many episodes it is. I'd have to plan out my. Again, these are first world pants problems, but I do want to make time to watch it before I get spoiled by going on the web and the Facebook, which I do occasionally to say hi to people and things. But other than that, it's like I have to go, oh my god.
One other thing I wanted to point out, I listened to our Justice League review, and none of us mentioned, I thought it was a great little moment, when Superman has the obligatory, he has to fight all the heroes.
Mm-hmm.
I loved when he was able to detect the Flash in the Speed Force.
Oh, yes.
I thought that was just a great little moment in that, and what otherwise was kind of like, all right, a typical type of slugfest, but that was just a cool, sort of a tip of the hat to, Superman being essentially as fast as the Flash. And then, of course, it nicely set up the teaser scene at the end. So that was that was a fun moment. The Justice League movie is a movie I'm rooting for because I really want them to make another one because I think that, again, it has the potential to grow into something that could be quite well done. So I hope enough money is made that they do go on to make a sequel. I'm very excited because you mentioned that episode that they've done an Aquaman movie.
Everything I've seen, again, only because of other things that it's actually been post-production, yeah.
And I loved his performance as Aquaman, so I'm psyched for that. Could I jump back to comics for a minute, if I may?
Absolutely.
I just wanted to praise anybody who's out there a fan of Matt Wagner and his legendary Mage series.
Mm-hmm.
The final part of the trilogy is being released now in a monthly format. Is The Hero Denied? Could you check that for me, Pants? I think it's The Hero Denied.
I will check.
We've had the hero discovered and the hero defined, so yeah, I think we're up to denied now, yeah.
So, Kevin Matchstick, for those who don't know,
the Hero Denied.
Hero Denied, thank you.
One of 15. It's going to be a 15-issue story.
Finite series.
So,
yes.
He channels the power of Excalibur, often through a bat. And in this final arc,
a baseball bat,
yes,
not a mammal.
Baseball bat. Yes.
Okay.
He's there's that canny pants shrewdness I love.
Well, I mean, bat has many indications.
Pants, that's why you're the best.
I don't know about that.
Oh, come on. So let me have my
I am
cold
the best. There you
please.
go.
So he's an older now. He's got a family, and Wagner has not missed a beat here. And I mean, he's writing and drawing. And he's always been one of my favorite creators, going back to when I discovered Grendel back in the 1990s, and he's really never disappointed me. I think he's a living master of the form, essentially. And if you've read Mage, I think you're really going to owe it to yourself to check out this new arc because it's seamless. I mean, this is clearly one of his babies. It's one of his creations, and he's knocking out of the park so far. If you've never read Mage. If you want an example of the greatness of independent comics, sort of in their heyday in the 80s and so forth, definitely pick it up. They're the first two arcs are both collected in trades. It's fantastic. And this arc so far is right up there with it. So definitely check out if you're a Wagner fan or just want to try it, or go back to the first Mage stories. It was Hero Discovered, Hero Defined, and now the Hero Denied. So just top notch. So,
yeah, I have never read Mage.
I picked up a complete run of The Hero Discovered at a very reasonable price at the penultimate Wild Pig sale.
My friend, as always, thanks for that undying support. Do you guys read the new Wade Captain America?
I didn't pick it up. I know it's Wade. I know it's Samney. I probably should have, but I'm being very frugal now in my new comic buying. It's because I always feel that I can find them later for much less if I want to go that way or wait till I hear good things about it. So I have not picked it up. What can you tell us about it, young man?
First of all, I don't blame you for being frugal, but number two, it's worth your money because it's that masterful creative team, picking up the pieces after the Secret Empire storyline, and just it's looking at Steve Rogers, Captain America, and him trying to sort of redefine himself and find his footing again in this post-Secret Empire Marvel Universe, and it's a master class in comics because it's Wade and Somney. I also wanted to shout out Garth Ennis's Punisher: The Platoon, which is, I mean, to me, Ennis is the definitive Punisher writer. This is essentially a sequel to the classic Punisher Bourne series he did with Derek Robertson several years ago about the Punisher in Vietnam. That was at the end of Frank Castle's tour of duty in Vietnam. This is when he first arrives in Vietnam, and I forgot the name of the artist. Forgive me. He's the one who did the classic Fury miniseries with Ennis. And I've read the first, I think, 2 or 3 issues. It's phenomenal. I mean, again, you want a master class in war comics, just read any of Garth Ennis's war comics, and this one is no exception. The research he does, I mean, every detail is so well crafted and applied. Another great miniseries. There's a lot. Again, my friends, a lot of great comics out there. I'm just trying to feel the top of my head, but. And I finally read an issue of Amazing Spider-Man, which I haven't read in quite some time.
Okay.
I mean, I love Slott's work. I loved a Superior Spider-Man. That was actually something that was innovative and new. But I kind of fell off after that. I read the first couple of the Park Industries story, but they just kept going to the bottom of the pile. But I picked up the issue where Marvel was promoting it, where he's losing his company. It was a well-told Spider-Man story. Dan Slott is a great Spider-Man writer. I don't know if I'm going to jump back in fully because money, time, and so forth. But like you, Pants, I'm scaling back my number of titles I get a month significantly. Now, granted, for me, that's still a fair number of books, but even with DCB service, it piles up very quickly in terms of the price. Mm-hmm. But again, excellent Spider-Man story. You know, they're kind of bringing Peter back to his hard luck persona, and they're throwing Mockingbird in there as a romantic interest, which is interesting. It was well done. I forgot the issue number, but I think they meant it as kind of a jumping on point. So, anybody see the Inhumans show? All I hear is negative about it.
Yeah, that was something I avoided when I saw a few. Again, try to avoid things, but I heard not so nice things about it. I never even looked for it on ABC when it was airing.
I missed the 2-hour series premiere, and I've kind of despaired since then of being able to catch up with it. But from what I'm hearing, I've heard what you guys have heard, and nothing is good.
But it's I guess you probably watch it on demand or on ABC.com. But actually, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. starts up again this Friday.
Yeah, so they've moved that to Friday nights.
Yeah.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I'm almost done with last season. Again, I'm way behind. It's a show I wanted to stick with because I've really enjoyed that show, and I really love the Coulson character and all those characters. And so I'm just finishing up now the third is it fourth season or third? What was last season?
Fourth season.
Fourth season. Awesome. I think it's the best season of the show thus far. Did you watch the whole fourth season, Pants?
Oh yeah, with Ghost Rider and
the LMDs and all that.
And what was the book called again?
The Darkhold.
The Darkhold, right.
Yeah, which Murdo and I have talked about extensively in both our Marvel Monsters Spotlight and our Doctor Strange Spotlight. So I still have maybe 3 or 4 episodes left, but I'm loving that season. It's really well done, and they're doing some interesting things with the characters, their relationships. Kind of got they're clearly borrowing from the Matrix there to some degree with what they're doing, but good show, man. Really, really enjoying catching up on that last. So the new season's starting this Friday. You said, Pants?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Wait, they moved the show to Friday night?
Apparently, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's why God invented DVRs.
That's true. I guess it's not as much of a death sentence as it was in the pre-DVR DVR days.
Well, didn't X-Files air on Friday nights for the longest time?
It did. It started there, and it became appointment television, a reason for people to stay home on Friday nights.
That's true.
In the 90s.
Right. That's true. That's true. That was an exception.
Speaking of the Inhumans, I think I might have mentioned before that one of the cute toys that Funko's put out recently is a stuffed Lockjaw toy. We've got that to
You
store.
started to say Lockheed.
I caught myself.
I wish that is what you meant.
No, but maybe Funko will do it down the line. But they've got the Lockjaw toys, and yeah, it's tough for me to get around the store and see all the toys because I'm busy doing other things. But one of the toys I work at Toys R Us, and we just had our big Black Friday, extravaganza. It's still going crazy. But have you guys heard of fingerlings?
No.
As potatoes or immature fish, yes, but I don't. This is a toy you're talking about.
This is a toy. This is probably like the hot toy for the Christmas season. They're little monkeys that they're miniature baby monkeys. They cling to your fingers and go where you go. They're full of hugs, love, and mischief. All they need is your care and attention. They react to sound, motion, and touch. Make fun little monkey noises. Who doesn't love fun little monkey noises? And move in ways that will make you squeal with delight. Friendship really is at your fingertips. These things are the hottest things since hula hoops, basically, and coonskin caps. I know I'm dating myself back to the 50s. But good God Almighty, we opened up at 8 a.m. on the Sunday of Cyber Week, and I work overnights. So we had somebody. There was we had them for sale that Sunday morning. Everyone knew about it because it was an email sent out to our subscribers to the Toys R Us website or whatever. And no lie, there was somebody sitting in their car with their parking lights on, trying to keep themselves warm, at 2:30 in the morning, waiting to get a fingerling.
Oh my God!
And when I left 4 hours later, there was probably a dozen people waiting outside to get in and get them. Wow. So it's this year's Cabbage Patch Kids.
Or Tickle Me Elmo.
Oh, Tickle Me Elmo.
Or Power Rangers. There are many examples.
Yes. Hatchimals was last year's big thing. But, yeah. So I got one more month to go in the overnight shift, and I got to tell you.
Hang in there, pantaloons. Hang in there.
Despite the fact that this is my only night off this week to come and record, so I gave up my night off to be with you guys, help ground me, keep me insane. Keep me from going insane. I'm sorry. No.
Just go with take one.
We are honored, brother, to keep you in balance here.
You're doing
I
the
thought you
same.
were going to do a crazy Eddie bit for a second. But.
Our prices are insane.
Damn it, I'm out of eggnog, Murd.
Oh.
Have we shot our bolt here on this cornucopia of comic conversation, of kooky comic conversation?
I think
we shot our bolt. Yeah.
Scraping the back of the wicker right now. So.
Right. Well, if you've lasted this long, thank you for bearing with us and our eccentricities. As always, it's a pleasure, and I don't know. Yeah.
Now he's lost the power of speech.
I've lost the power of speech. Are you ready to end this up here, Mert, if I start doing the music with the thing?
Ooh-ee.
Ooh-ee?
Just a sec.
Just a sec?
Yes, I got it.
All right,
okay.
Well, here we go.
If you'd like to send us an email, the address is comicgeekspeak@gmail.com. If you'd like to leave a voicemail, you can call 267-702-6642. You can like us on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter. Our handle is @comicgeekspeak. You can visit thecomicforums.vanillaforums.com, which is our forum on the internet, where you can go to leave some feedback on this and many other episodes of our podcast and take part in conversations with your fellow CGS fans about various geeky topics related to the show and otherwise. We give thanks, as always, to those of you who have donated monetarily to the show in the past. We thank you. The show would not be what it is today without your help. And as always, we are uniting the world's mightiest heroes, one listener at a time.